Hi there and welcome to this review of the One Way UK Daily Devotionals for the 25th through to the 29th of April. And we're reading from the book of John, the Gospel of John. We're reading from chapter 4, verse 9, and we go through to, let me just check, verse 22. We are in the sort of middle of this series called Practical Living. And the key to the Christian life is that it is entirely practical. The Bible is full of practical information on how to live life, how to get the most out of life, and how to develop our relationship with Jesus so that we can achieve that abundance of life that Jesus spoke about, that he came to give us. First thing we hit on Monday was the reaction of the Samaritan woman to something that Jesus said. The point is that she was surprised, and she was surprised that he, a Jew, should speak to her, a Samaritan. And we just come with thinking about that and thinking that, well, those of us who've walked with Jesus for some time, our common experience is that we are very often surprised, and that really we need to be prepared to be surprised if we're walking with Jesus, because that's just the way that things are. And I suggested that, for example, if a surprise had completely overtaken the servants at the wedding at Cana and Galilee, then the guests would still be waiting for their wine. So it's a good thing to be like a Boy Scout and be prepared in our Christian walk. On Tuesday, we saw that it's a very practical thing to choose Jesus as our resource. Why should we do that? Well, he is the fount of wisdom. He's the fount of all good things. He is the giver of life. And we're particularly honed in on the point where he was talking to the Samaritan woman about the living water which he was able to give. And people have a choice. There are all the isms under the sun. There's so many, but they're all heaped up on one side. Basically, they've been the way that men have developed ideas to look for God, to form a relationship with God. But on the other side, there is Jesus, who's actually just saying, why not have a relationship with me and make me your source of life? And actually, it is that simple. As we carried on, we considered that it's important to know what we want. The woman said to Jesus, the woman at the well, the Samaritan woman said, "Sir, give me this water that I may not thirst, nor come here to draw." Now, in one sense, we can laugh at that because she's talking practically about the water she drew from the well. And water, was, those of us who carry watering cans around know, weighs a lot. And she was taking him literally, and he was speaking spiritually. But the issue here is that we may smile at what she said, but at least she knew what she wanted. What do we want? What do we want? What is our objective? After all, Jesus has said to us, ask, and the very least we can do is to know what we want. He wouldn't have said ask if he didn't mean it. So it is important that we use the brain that God gave us and actually purposefully seek things that we need, things that we want to do. And Jesus will guide us through. We closed out this little mini-series on practical living by saying that we should recognize Jesus for who he is. And we can go straight to the point and say that this woman said to him, "Sir, I perceive that you're a prophet," and that's because he knew about her marital relationships. But in fact, Jesus knows everything about us. But more than that, no prophet can see you before you were born. No prophet can see you as you're being formed in your mother's womb. And no prophet truly knows the end of your days. These things are written in heaven. Jesus saw all those things. He saw us before we came into being. He saw us as we were being knit together in our mother's womb. And he knows the end of our days here on earth. Jesus is far more than a prophet. There is a lot more to him. And in fact, we picked up on that on Friday. We actually considered the whole question of anti-Semitism and why that existed. And the reality is that Jesus said to the woman of the well that salvation is of the Jews. In other words, that salvation would come through the Jewish root. And of course it did, because he was a Jew born into the line of David on earth. Is it any wonder that the devil, the forces of evil, would hate the root and the people through whom the Saviour of the world came, the one who had in fact come to defeat him? And that to me gives an explanation not just for the horrors of the Holocaust in the 20th century, but all the pogroms that have taken place against Jews in Spain and England and Russia and in many other places, and the hatred against them that still exists in the world today. In recognising the truth, we need to recognise that Jesus is the truth. And we'll just repeat what he said, which is that he is the way, the truth and the life. And no one shall come to the Father except through him. Whatever ideas we have of who God is or what he's like or whether there is a God or not, there is only one person who has the answer, and that is Jesus. I hope you've been enjoying the amazingly wonderful warm summer weather that we've been enjoying in April, in the latter part of April over Easter. Enjoy the wedding. The wedding, I suppose, fairly the wedding of the year. And just have a great weekend, and I'll be with you next week.